Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy is appealing to the Trump administration as the U.S. looks to thaw its relationship with Russia.
Zelenskyy said President Trump was, quote, living in a disinformation space after President Trump's false assertion yesterday that Ukraine started the war. In fact, Russia invaded Ukraine without cause in 2022. This morning, Mr. Trump fired back at the Ukrainian leader on his Truth Social platform, calling him a, quote, dictator without elections.
Zelenskyy, just to note, was democratically elected in 2019 after Russia's invasion. He imposed martial law in Ukraine, which has since suspended elections there. NBC News chief White House correspondent Peter Alexander is going to stay with us on this. Also joining us, NBC News senior national security correspondent Courtney Kube. She's at the Pentagon for us. Peter, to go back to you, President Trump has been ramping up his rhetoric against Mr. Zelenskyy, even reiterating some things that sound like Russian talking points. What else is he saying?
Well, this is a dramatic 180 for the president of the United States. Under Joe Biden, the U.S. obviously was very aligned with Vladimir Putin, helping deliver hundreds of billions of dollars in aid and military assistance to help fend off Russia that, of course, invaded Ukraine now more than 3 years ago. But President Trump, has a very different view of this and has gotten in really personal terms in the way he's described it. A post earlier today describing him critically as a modestly successful comedian, describing Volodymyr Zelenskyy as a dictator, as you noted. Obviously, it is the U.S. intelligence's view that it's Vladimir Putin who is much more a dictator than Volodymyr Zelenskyy, who was democratically elected here. But it's obvious that the president is very frustrated about the money that the U.S. has spent on Ukraine and has a desire to claw back as much of it as possible as he can through other relations and trade agreements with Ukraine that Zelenskyy himself has pushed back on. But as we saw Zelenskyy just over the last several days, speaking to my colleague Kristen Welker at Meet the Press, it's clear that he has his back against the wall, where he's ultimately relying on Europe to try to help here, with most American aid, it appears, to be largely cut off going forward.
And Courtney, let's bring you in. You do have some new reporting on Russia's endgame in these peace negotiations. What have you learned?
Yeah, so I spoke with a number of U.S. and foreign intelligence agencies and officials, and they all came to the same conclusion when it came to Vladimir Putin and whether he's actually interested in a peace deal right now, and that is he still has the same goals of taking all of Ukraine that he went into this war with now nearly 3 years ago. They still believe that his goals are maximalist, meaning that he intends to take all of Ukraine before leaving. Now, that being said, all of the officials who I spoke with, and again, guys, this is not only U.S. intelligence, but other close U.S. allies who came to these same conclusions, that Vladimir Putin may be interested in a ceasefire right now to give his military an opportunity to reset, to reform, to give them a bit of a break. But ultimately, he does not intend to back down from his goal of taking all of Ukraine. And that, of course, that assessment has not changed. It's the same one we just heard from Peter Alexander about how the United States government under President Joe Biden has consistently sided with Volodymyr Zelenskyy and Ukraine. That has not changed. Neither has this assessment that Putin still wants to take all of that country, guys.
Courtney Kube, Peter Alexander, thank you both.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.